Okay. Yo. I think I'm alive. I think I'm alive. Wait. Okay. Wait. Yeah. I'm alive. Wait. Yeah. I'm alive. Wait. I guess we'll just get into it already.
I handed a glass of water to my almost dead grandpa, but he smacked it across the room. He
Yo, it would spill everywhere. Just say no.
raised a finger at the photo on his wall and yelled, "Forget the water! I buried a treasure."
I already.
My school banned water bottles to keep us safe, but it almost killed one of us. I was mid-sip when my teacher snatched the water bottle.
Bruce pinging me. Okay.
Bottle from my hand and tossed it into a garbage bag saying, "New policy," then moved down the rows and took every single bottle in the room. Half the class started yelling, but then the intercom crackled and the principal's voice cut through. "All water bottles are banned because 3 seniors were caught sneaking vodka into school. If you need
Oh, damn.
water, use the water fountains." Next period, I ran to the nearest fountain and had to wait behind a line of 30 kids. When I finally got to the front, all that came out was a trickle of brown, warm water. I went to drink from the bathroom sinks instead, but other students had the same idea.
That's insane.
Athletes who ran 5 miles in cross-country practice drank their own sweat. In just a week, the nurse's office was filled with dehydrated students complaining about headaches. Our parents called the school to complain, but the principal sent out an email saying, "Sometimes safety requires sacrifice." I had enough when a heat wave started that Tuesday, making the hallways feel like a sauna. I knew the confiscated water bottles were sitting in a storage closet, so I grabbed mine and hid it in my locker. I'd secretly
That's crazy. Mate, my mic is up to the flipping highest. What are you on about? What are you... Me, go away.
drink water throughout the day.
What do you mean speak louder? Oh, fine, I'll turn this down. Okay, boom.
While everyone else waited in line for brown water. Friday's gym
Brown water is insane. We don't want brown water. Yeah, that's crazy. We don't want brown water. Blah, blah, blah.
class was when everything went to hell because coach made us run laps outside in the middle of the heat wave.
What do you mean speak louder? I've got it on the highest thingy I can do.
We'd been
It's a different account, you bum.
going for 15 minutes when Chris went from jogging to face first on the floor. Everyone started screaming. Coach ran over, his face going white when he realized Chris was unconscious and burning up. He yelled for water, but the water fountains were...
What do you mean scream?
That's when
I'm being as loud as I can.
Dumped it over Chris's head, carefully giving him small sips when he started to come around. I stayed there rationing my water.
Wait, no, you bum. I'm not ending.
Between cooling him down and keeping him hydrated. The paramedics arrived 12 minutes later, and they said Chris's temperature was 104.8, dangerously close to the point where organs start shutting down. They told me I had saved him because he could have gone into kidney failure or worse. Chris's parents' lawyer was at the school the next morning, along with 3 news vans.
Why would he go to the school? Just take them to court instead.
And angry parents. The principal tried to do damage control by promising to lift the ban, but it was too late. He got fired the next day. The new principal installed water fountains his first week. Then the intercom crackled and his voice cut through. "Water bottles are welcome back. Make sure you're drinking enough water." Chris returned.
Yeah, make sure you drink water or you can die.
To school a month later, and he carries 2 water bottles everywhere he goes. My school
life lesson there. Wait.
banned water bottles to keep us safe, but it almost killed one of us. I was mid-sip when my teacher snatched the water bottle from... My mom cupped my face and smiled. "You look just like your dad." And I grinned back. "Good, I want to be just like him." But a month later, he packed a suitcase and left us for another woman. The
Bruh.
betrayal killed us both. Mom stopped eating, and I got migraines that made my nose bleed. After I coughed up blood, I dragged myself to the kitchen to tell Mom I needed a hospital, but I hid behind the doorway when I saw her crushing pills I'd never seen before into my food.
She could be killing you, him.
She turned around with a creepy smile and yelled, "Honey, dinner's ready." I walked in a minute later saying, "Mom, I don't feel good, so I'm gonna eat in my room. Make sure you eat it all. It'll make you feel better," she said. I dumped it into a bag and stuffed it in my backpack. I started buying food on the way home from school after that and dumped the pill-infested food into a bag every night. I realized she was the one making me sick when I started feeling better. I didn't know why she did this, so when she left for work one day, I went through every drawer in her room looking for answers until I found a stack of letters, all written to my dad. She wrote that she wanted to hurt him but couldn't.
Oh, that's crazy.
She was hurting me instead because I had his face. I cried until my eyes were bloodshot.
You're not getting Ed. I'm not gonna give anyone mod right now.
Then I put the
Maybe
letters back
later.
and went straight to the kitchen. When she got home, I walked her to the kitchen and said, "Come on, Mom, I made you food. You gotta start eating again. You're amazing," she said. She finished the whole plate. Within a week, she was throwing up after my dinners. Then the migraines started, and her nose bled through tissues.
Oh, so he's poisoning her now.
Her fevers got so bad she couldn't get out of bed, and the whole time I brought her water, adjusted her pillows, and made her plate every single night. When she started coughing up blood, I drove her to the hospital, and
Yo, how's he driving? He looks like 10.
she got admitted. That night, I walked into her room, leaned in close, and whispered, "You made me sick because I have Dad's face.
Oh,
So I made you sick, and now you get to watch his face leave you all over again." I walked out without looking back. My mom
oh, that's crazy.
I was sitting in a courtroom for my parents' divorce when the judge asked me,
Yo, this guy comes up with like the craziest stories.
"Who would you like to live with, Mom or Dad?" I was nervous because that was a hard decision. My dad leaned over and whispered, "We'll have so much fun." My dad was the fun parent, and my mom was really strict, so I smiled and pointed at my dad. "I want to live with him." A tear rolled down my mom's face as she looked
Why is it a brown tear?
at me like I made the worst decision ever, and she
Yeah, no way.
said, "He's fun until you need a parent. Call me when that happens." I didn't understand what she meant until the next day. My dad shook me and woke me up. "Want to go street racing? Mom's not here to tell us what to do anymore. We're free." I got out of bed quickly because Mom would have never let me do this. We got in his car and hit the highway. He floored it. I put my head out the window thinking this
Yo, he's gonna get like hit by another car.
is what freedom felt like. Then a car pulled up next to us and revved their engine. My dad looked over and smashed the gas. He was racing and swerving through traffic, going faster
Yo, he's gonna die.
and faster. He hit 120 miles per
He's gonna get arrested, never mind.
hour. I felt my heart drop and my hands were gripping the seat because this wasn't fun anymore. "Dad, slow down. This is too fast." But he went faster, and that's when I heard,
What is that
but
face?
he went
What is that?
faster.
That's like he's like a devil.
And that's when I heard sirens behind us. "Dad, that's the cops. Pull over. We're gonna get in trouble." He looked in the mirror and floored it even harder. "No one can tell me what to do anymore." That's when I realized he wasn't my dad right now. He was my friend. He swerved to pass a car too
What do you mean he was your friend? He's like a criminal.
fast and lost control.
Yo, you're not getting Ed.
We slammed into a tree. My head hit the dashboard and everything was blurry. I saw blood.
Oh, damn.
I turned my head expecting my dad to save me, but I watched him unbuckle his seatbelt, look at me, and run away. He left
Yo.
me there, and everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed. My mom was sitting next to me holding my hand, and I started crying. "Mom, what happened? Where's Dad?" She wiped my tears. "Your dad crashed the car and left you there. The cops found you unconscious and called me because I'm still your emergency contact."
Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Write it down. Mod. Maybe another day. Not right now.
"Is Dad okay?" She got quiet. When he ran from the car, he ran into the street. The car he was racing hit him. He's
Oh, so I said he would die.
paralyzed now. I couldn't believe it, but she was right. He was fun.
Wait, I just
until you
need to
need a
check if
parent,
you can
and
hear
when
me.
I needed one, he ran.
Check if you can hear me. Oh, I am actually pretty. Wait. Oh, I am actually pretty. Wait. No, you. It's fun. No, actually, stop pinging me. No, I'm putting on do not disturb. Okay.
Mom, I'm sorry. I should have chose you. She held me. It's okay.
Yeah, he should have chose
The court just granted me full custody. You're coming home with me. I
Oh, damn.
fell into her arms and sobbed. I was sitting in a courtroom for my parents. I was swimming in a lake when I caught a rotting smell pooling
A
around
rotting
me.
smell.
It was so strong it
Check the Bro, stop it! Okay.
made me gag, so I decided to just get out. But while swimming towards shore, I felt something brush against my leg. I figured it was just weeds and kept going. But then 5 human
It's a
fingers
human!
wrapped around my ankle and squeezed hard. I went pale and kicked as hard as I could. The fingers kept holding on and dragged my whole body under. I kept thrashing and thankfully freed my leg. I came up choking and swam to shore faster than ever. I called police, who sounded skeptical, but still sent divers. I was at home wondering if I was just crazy when I got a call telling me to come to the station. The officer told me they found out what grabbed me. Directly below where I was swimming, the divers found a car. Inside, it was a dead woman still buckled into the driver's seat. She'd been down there for 3 weeks.
3 weeks and she's still alive?
Shook my head and told the cop there was no way it was her. Whatever grabbed me had wrapped its fingers and squeezed, and dead people can't do that. The cop shook his head and said that's what makes this so disturbing. When the divers found her, her window was down, and her arm was floating out of it, drifting upward in the water. An underwater current had formed beside her as I was swimming, and the pressure of the moving water closed her fingers around my ankle. Apparently, the current was also getting stronger, and had I not felt her fingers and decided to swim away, I would have been pulled under for good.
He would have died.
I got stuck inside a water slide.
What? These are the craziest stories. All of these stories would not happen to somebody. Like, some of them would happen in real life, but not all of them to the same person.
The lifeguard kept sending kids down until I became the cork in a human soda bottle. It was a giant tube slide at Splash Kingdom, shaped like a blue snake wrapped around the tower. I only went because Ben yelled, "Last one down buys fries." The second I dropped in, my swim trunks caught on a loose screw inside the first curve. The slide yanked me backward, the waistband snapped tight, and I stopped dead with water rushing over my face.
Just take it off. How dumb is he? Just take his thingies off of the nail.
I slapped the wall and yelled, "I'm stuck!" But the slide swallowed my voice. Something slammed into my feet. A kid yelled, "Move!" I yelled, "I can't."
What do you mean move? He actually can. But
He yelled,
if he was actually stuck, then he wouldn't tell you to move. Well, somebody probably that dumb with, but
not helpful. Another kid hit him, and the three of us folded together like wet lawn chairs. Above us, the lifeguard blew his whistle and sent someone else. That kid arrived feet first, apologized, and kicked me in the ribs. The tube filled with echoing screams, squeaking skin, and one kid shouting, "My goggles are in my mouth." At the bottom,
what? How? Why are you bringing goggles onto a water slide? Like, you're not gonna die.
I could hear
Well, you could actually.
parents clapping for kids who never came out. Ben's voice floated up from the pool. "Where is everybody?" A fifth kid crashed into the pile,
Bro, why are you allowed a flipping shark?
holding an inflatable shark. The shark squealed against the wall and wedged under
What do you mean the shark squealed?
my armpit. The water kept pushing. We slid 1 inch, stopped, slid another inch, and stopped harder. For one terrifying second, nobody laughed. A metal hatch clanged open above us.
Oh, they're saved.
A maintenance guy shouted, "Nobody move!" Every kid in the tube yelled, "We can't!" He muttered something about water pressure, reached inside with a screwdriver, twisted something above my hip, and my waistband popped free. The entire slide made a deep gulping sound. My stomach lifted. The pile behind me shifted. "Uh-oh," the kid with the shark whispered. The water hit us all at once. I shot out first, skipped across the splash pool, and landed sitting upright in a stranger's nachos. 7 kids launched out behind me like human popcorn. The inflatable shark landed on the lifeguard's head.
Oh.
Water shoe slapped Ben in the chest. The last kid popped out holding the sign that said, "One rider at a time." I stood up wearing 3 pairs of goggles and
What do you you mean? How do you? That just doesn't happen.
Ketchup sauce on my shoulder. Ben stared at me. So do I still get fries? I got stuck in. Me and my brother Jack were 16 when we watched a kidnapping documentary and decided we needed a way to protect ourselves. We secretly drilled a hole in the hallway wall behind Dad's painting and hid a loaded gun in there. We also made up secret code words to signal if we were ever in danger. Then one day, while walking by Jack's bedroom, he stuck his head out and said, "Hey, can you go help Dad with the scrambled eggs?" He closed the door, and I froze because that was code for, "There's someone in my room, and I'm in danger." My legs
Oh
were
no,
shaking,
they're
but I
gonna.
calmly
Is he gonna die again?
walked downstairs and lifted the painting off the wall. I reached in and grabbed the gun, and that's when Dad rounded the corner. His face went red, and he loudly said, "What the hell are you doing? Why do you have a gun?" I freaked out and instantly pressed my finger to my lips, whispering, "There's an intruder holding Jack hostage upstairs." But my dad yelled back, "An intruder upstairs? Don't be crazy. I would have heard something.
No, just trust
Put that gun
him.
down right now." My heart jumped in fear because I was sure the intruder heard my dad say that and now knew I had a gun. Then suddenly Jack shouted from upstairs, "I'm just going to have a bath. I'll be done in an hour." I almost
What do you mean? A bath is not 1 hour.
dropped to the floor because that was our word for "I'm being kidnapped."
Oh yeah, okay.
Dad shouted back, "Okay, Jack, I'll see you soon." And I gripped my gun tighter and frantically whispered, "Please, Dad, just trust me. I'll explain everything later." I started walking upstairs quietly, my fingers shaking around the trigger, but Dad suddenly pulled me back. "Okay, that's it. I'm checking this out for myself." He began
I mean, he's gonna die. At least bring the gun with you.
marching up and yelled, "Jack, your brother is acting very strange." I looked around, panicked, and knew I had to do something. The intruder had definitely heard everything, so being stealthy was no longer an option. I grit my teeth and sprinted up with my gun as fast as I could. I shoved Dad out of the way and flung open Jack's bedroom door. A man in a ski mask was climbing out the window holding Jack with one arm.
Yo.
He was almost out. Dad saw it too and ran toward Jack, but he didn't have enough time. I raised my gun and aimed just as the man stepped on the windowsill, then exhaled and pressed the trigger. The bullet flew from the barrel and hit his knee, and he
Oh.
collapsed to the floor, screaming in pain and dangling halfway out the window. I sighed in relief as Jack landed on the floor and ran towards me. I dropped the gun and we hugged, holding each other super tight. My dad looked at us while trembling and asked with a shaky voice, "How did you know?" I replied, "We have our code words." Me and
You should probably tell your dad the code words too.
my son smiled in the back seat, excited for soccer practice. But when I looked forward, I saw the headlights coming straight at us. They slammed into us head on, and our car spun onto its side. I could barely see, but when I realized where I was, I looked in the back seat. He was gone. I started panicking and climbed out. I saw him on the street and limped over to him. Justin, are you okay?" But when I shook him, he didn't move. The woman from the other car rushed over to help, screaming, "I'm sorry, oh my God." My son still wasn't waking up, and when I looked up, she was crying, but her husband didn't care at all. The ambulance rushed him into a stretcher, and when we got to the hospital, they followed us inside. "Sir, I'm so sorry. Oh my God." She couldn't stop crying, and when the doctor told me my son was in a coma, she overheard. He told me I had to pay hundreds of thousands just to keep him alive, but he'd
What?
likely never.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. You have to pay to go to the hospital in America, don't you? Pretty sure it's free in England.
Wake up. I immediately started tearing up, knowing I couldn't afford it. But when the woman overheard, she immediately
But maybe some things you have to pay for.
offered to pay for it. "We'll cover it, please." But her husband grabbed her and pulled her outside. "What are you doing? I'm not paying for that kid to stay alive and rot in there." She looked furious, but walked out. The next morning, they told me I had to pull the plug. I cried my eyes out and said my goodbyes to my boy. I nodded and saw the doctor reach for the plug, but right before they did, the nurse burst inside. "Stop, don't pull it. Someone paid for the life support in full." I froze. I knew it had to be her. She came and visited him, helping me through this
Yeah, he's gonna stay alive.
hard time. She stayed by my side for 6 months, ignoring her husband telling her not to. But when I was reading him his favorite book for the 100th time, I felt him squeeze my hand. I couldn't believe it. Everyone rushed in because he was waking up. We were shocked because against all odds, I got my son back and found myself a new wife. My
Wow.
A woman laid down in my tattoo parlor, and she had 3 freckles
really
arranged in
neat.
a triangle above her belly button. I froze up because they looked extremely familiar, but I didn't know why yet. And as I started drawing the stencil for the tattoo, I saw her earrings. They were the same earrings I gave my daughter Amelia for her 5th birthday before she was kidnapped. The same daughter I'd been searching for the last 13 years. Was this her? I was so shocked that my stencil paper hit the floor and she flinched. Sorry, hand slipped. I tried to continue, but I was so confused that it was extremely difficult, especially when she started twirling her hair with her left pinky finger, because Amelia did that at the playground the morning she was kidnapped. It was the last time I saw her. That's when I had to break the silence. So, what made you pick this design? She shrugged. I don't know. I've drawn it on myself with markers since I was little. I almost started tearing up because Amelia used to draw us together on her hands all the time. She'd say, "You're going to be in my life forever, Daddy." I knew I needed to find out more about her, but I wanted to be subtle. Did anyone come with you today? She shook her head and suddenly looked extremely sad. No, I don't really have anyone. I've always sort of been a lone wolf. My heart started hurting, but I needed to know more. Why is that? She laughed, but it sounded extremely sad, like I'd struck a nerve. Let's just say, the man who raised me wasn't supposed to. I dropped everything because that was my confirmation. She was subtly telling me she was kidnapped. My voice was trembling. Because you were driven to a remote location in a white van when you were 5 and never saw your family again. Her eyes popped out. Her hands went to her mouth and she gasped while tears streamed down her face. How did you know that? Amelia, I'm your dad, and I never stopped looking for you. A woman laid
Yo, he found his daughter. That's
My
crazy.
son finally beat the old man in chess, and it was the worst mistake of his life. My son sat down to play for the first time, and the old man laughed. "Are you ready, kid?" 10 moves later it was over. My son stared dumbfounded, but the old man was already resetting the pieces. This time, halfway through, the man stopped my son's hand as he was about to move his knight. "Not there. Look at the board." He pointed at the queen. I saw it click, and his eyes lit up. From that day on, my son said, "I'm going to beat him. Just watch." And we came to the park every day to play. One day, it was pouring rain, but the man was still there with an umbrella propped over the board. That was the day my son took his bishop for the first time. The man laughed. "You're getting dangerous, kid." But then one afternoon, the man wasn't talking. He was staring at the empty bench beside him. My wife used to sit here and watch me play. She was all I had. My son got up, walked around and hugged him. Then he sat back down and pushed his pawn forward. The next day, the man handed my son a chess book. Inside the cover was written, "For Daniel. Can't wait to teach you." My son looked up. "Who's Daniel?" The man's eyes dropped. "My son. He passed before I got to teach him, but now I get to teach you." He opened to chapter 1 and pointed at a diagram. "This is how you open against a queen's gambit." Over time, the games kept getting closer. My son was now seeing 3-4 moves ahead, and one day after a close loss, the man smiled at my son for a long time. "I think you're finally about to beat me." Then the day
He's gonna beat him at chess. That's insane.
finally came. 6 months after he first sat down, my son moved his queen slowly across the board. Checkmate. He jumped up and pumped his fist, turning to me with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. Then he turned back to the old man. "Good game." He reached out his hand, but the man didn't move. He was just sitting upright, leaning back against the chair, staring with these wide eyes. My son's smile dropped. I walked over and tapped the man's shoulder. He slumped over the table, and I realized he was dead. He'd held on just long enough to see my son win. My son finally beat the
Damn.
girls. "I dare you to jump." Jax looked out the second floor window, looked back at us, and jumped. He broke his ankle and got suspended for a month. First day back, he was sitting at his desk, sniffing crushed up Smarties through a pen tube. Someone slid him a note that said, "I dare you," with a checkbox. He checked it without reading the rest. Jax had never said no to a dare. The note said, "I dare you to convince the sub you're the teacher's aide." Our art teacher was out sick, and the substitute had never been to our school before. She walked in mid-yawn with a folder and a coffee. Jax was already out of his seat. "Hey, I'm Jax. I'm the aide for this class. She probably left my name in the folder." The sub exhaled. "Oh, thank God. I don't even know where anything is in here." "Yeah, she never remembers to leave my name. I basically run everything when she's out." He grabbed the attendance sheet off her desk. "I got roll. You can get settled." He started calling names. By the third one, the sub sat down at a student desk and opened her folder. Jax finished roll, walked to the whiteboard, and drew a horizon line with 2 vanishing points. "All right, today we're doing perspective drawing." He taught for 10 straight minutes, and the room was dead silent because nobody could tell if this was the greatest dare in school history or if Jax actually knew perspective drawing. Then Carter in the back row started whispering to the kid next to him. Jax stopped mid-sentence. "Carter, you want to be my first write-up?" Carter leaned back in his chair. "Bro, you sit next to me in math, and right now you sit in my classroom. Last warning." Carter looked at the sub. "Don't look at me. He's in charge." Jax kept teaching. 20 minutes in, he picked up the classroom phone. "Hi, this is room 212, the aide from Ms. Bloom's class. We're running low on charcoal pencils. Can someone bring a set down?" 5 minutes later, an office aide walked in and handed the box to Jax. He said thank you and passed them out to every desk. The door opened with 10 minutes left. Ms. Bloom walked in and stopped. Jax was at the whiteboard with a charcoal pencil behind his ear. The sub was in a student desk taking notes. 28 kids were drawing vanishing points. "How long has he been up there?" The sub smiled. "Whole period. You've got a great aide." Jax set the pencil down and walked back to his desk without a word. He got suspended again the next day. First day
Damn, he got suspended.
back, another note slid across his desk. "I dare you to jump." Jax looked out the second floor window, looked back at us, and jumped. He broke
Yo, why would he do that?
his ankle. "I punched the autistic kid in school. My little sister transferred here after being bullied so badly at her last school. She stopped talking for 2 months. The night before, my mom pulled me aside. If anything happens to her here, I'm pulling her out for good." On her first day, I saw Terrence grab a girl and shove her face into a water fountain. A teacher ran over, but Terrence started rocking. "I can't help it. I have autism." She walked away.
Yo, you can't blame it on autism, bro.
Girl lost 2 teeth, and nobody did anything. Then Terrence noticed my sister. I turned a corner, and he had her pinned against the lockers, telling me to relax, that they were just talking. He bumped my shoulder walking past. "You can't touch me. I'm untouchable." I recorded everything on my phone and brought it to the principal. He watched the videos, then deleted them off my phone and threatened to punish me if I made another accusation. I didn't tell him I'd already sent everything to my mom. Terrence found out I reported him and told my sister it didn't work, that nothing ever does. My sister stopped eating. I could hear her
Damn.
crying through the wall every night. I found her in the library. "I want to go back to my old school, please." That night, I asked my mom for one more chance. She nodded, but I saw her pull out her laptop the second I left the room. The next morning, I planted myself outside my sister's class. Terrence walked up and dared me
How can you see somebody bring it out when you've left?
to hit him. My sister walked out. He shoved me into the wall and grabbed her. Her head cracked against the lockers. I am on him before I realize I am moving. My fist connects with his
I want to watch something else.
A little girl kept telling her parents there was a woman outside her window every night. Whenever they checked. In this world, everyone is born with a star-shaped mark on their hand. The moment you turn 15, it grants you any superpowers you want. But there's one rule. You can only use your power once. After that, the star turns into a gray scar and disappears forever. One boy chose flight just to soar above the city. Another picked time manipulation to skip classes.
Oh, that's smart. I want to do that. I want to skip class.
Everyone used their power and lost it forever. But not Mason. Years passed, and he still hadn't used his. His friends laughed at him. "What's the point of having a superpower if you're too scared to use it?" Mason always smiled. "I'm waiting for the moment it matters." Then, one afternoon, a school bus crashed through a bridge railing and hung over a river. Without hesitation, Mason chose super strength. He lifted the bus back onto the bridge just before it fell. When every child climbed out safely, his power vanished forever. Mason looked at the children hugging their parents. Then he finally understood. A superpower only lasts for a moment, but the lives you save can last a lifetime. In this world, everyone is born with a star-shaped. Ever since Ethan was born, every time he got hurt, he transformed into a giant monster. When he
Yo, what is... what?
was 6, he fell off his bike and suddenly grew huge claws, sharp teeth, and a body taller than a house. Everyone screamed and ran away. Ethan was terrified of himself. He spent years alone, avoiding anything that could hurt him. He stopped playing with other kids and never made friends. He was afraid one accident would turn him into the monster
Hello, no harm. Yep, hello.
everyone feared. Then one afternoon, Ethan saw a little girl crossing the road when a speeding truck came racing toward her. Without thinking, Ethan bit his hand. His body instantly transformed. He jumped in front of the truck and stopped it, saving the girl. She looked up at him and smiled. "Thank you for saving me." She was the first person who wasn't scared of him at all. That night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about her smile. That's when it hit him. Maybe his monster wasn't the problem. He just never used it to help others. So that's when he started doing it.
That's pretty smart.
He rescued families from burning houses. He even helped rescue kittens stuck in trees. Kids started asking him to play. And slowly, the whole town stopped running away whenever Ethan transformed. That's when Ethan finally understood. The monster everyone feared was the hero everyone needed.
Yeah.
A young girl was playing with her toys in the living room late at night when her mother suddenly rushed inside and locked the front door behind her. She looked terrified. "Go hide under your bed," she whispered. No. A little girl kept seeing her A young boy never. A little girl kept telling.
Right,
A
they're
little
all the same
This is-
ones.
A little boy noticed something strange about his old. A little girl refused. A young girl began noticing something strange about her favorite toy doll.
Is it this guy? No.
All right, boys. Don't
Oh, wait. Boom. Is this him? Yeah.
Bro, imagine if a grandma owned Roblox. Part 2. You log in, and the first thing you see is 500.
This was how Roblox looked like 10 years ago, and it was so much better. It's the year 20.
Bro, imagine. Bro, imagine if you. Bro, imagine if a kid owned.
Go latest.
This is the difference between a noob and a pro when they can't sleep. First, there's trying to fall asleep. Noob, they close their eyes, turn left, turn right, flip their pillow. Nothing works, so they grab their phone. Say, just 5 minutes, and suddenly, it's been 2 hours. Pro, they put their phone away, close their eyes, and start counting sheep. 1, 2, 3. This is the difference between Bro, imagine if Roblox allowed online dating. You log in, you join a game, and the first thing you see, every Roblox player is looking for a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I slapped $5 on my desk and bet the class we could break our new substitute before lunch. We'd already gotten 3 subs to quit this semester, and I had $5 and my name on this bet riding on number 4. I'd seen her around the building for 2 weeks, but this was the first time she'd stood in front of our class. She wrote her name on the board, Mrs. Marsh, and started teaching like she had no idea what she'd walked into. One kid, Devin, threw a paper airplane at her and told her she had 10 minutes to walk out before we made her wish she had. She didn't flinch and kept teaching, and I could feel my $5 already escaping. A few minutes later, someone pulled the fire alarm, and she walked us outside calm as anything, counted heads twice, and walked us back in like nothing had happened. I uncrossed my arms and stopped smiling, because she hadn't even broken a sweat. When we got back into the classroom, Devin leaned over to Reagan, the girl next to him, and told her to call the front office and say Mrs. Marsh grabbed her arm, and Reagan actually did it, phone pressed to her ear, voice shaking just enough to sound real. My pulse spiked, because that wasn't a joke anymore. That could get her fired or one of us expelled, and I realized none of us had a plan for what happened if this actually worked. The whole class jumped at the sound of a ruler smacking the whiteboard. "Hang up the phone," Mrs. Marsh said. "I've seen enough." My chest finally unclenched, because whatever came next, at least it was over. She pulled a folder out of her bag, our names already written inside it, dates already logged. "I'm not your sub, I'm the new principal. I've been documenting this class for 2 weeks, including that call." I sat there frozen, realizing my name was probably already in that folder before I ever put $5 down. She turned to Reagan. "Hang that phone up for good, or I add this to your file too." Reagan dropped it like it burned her. The color drained from Devin's face. Because we hadn't been betting on a sub, we'd been betting on the principal, and she had it all on paper. My $5 circled right at the top. I slapped $5 on my desk and bet the class we could break our new substitute before lunch. We'd already gotten 3 subs to quit this semester, and I had $5, and my name... My arm jerked and a bark shot out of my mouth before I could stop it. The substitute's head snapped toward me. What was that? Sorry, I have Tourette's syndrome.
Oh, it's Tourette's, okay.
So sometimes I can't control what I say or do. The jerks and sounds are called tics, and they just happen on their own. She crossed her arms. "Yeah, right. If you want attention that bad, come to the front, and I'll make sure you get it." My throat tightened, but I had learned a long time ago that arguing with adults about this never worked, so I walked to the front of the class, even though I knew that stress always made my Tourette's worse. Standing in front of 20 other kids was about to prove that. She pointed at me. "Go ahead and start your little performance." My shoulder jerked hard, and a sharp bark cracked out of my throat. A few kids laughed, then my neck twisted sideways, again and again, faster each time. "You're doing that on purpose, aren't you?" My chest tightened, because people accusing me of faking it always hurt worse than the tics themselves. "No, I'm not," she laughed. "Yeah, right. Tourette's isn't even a real thing." My face burned with embarrassment as the tics kept coming, one after another, my body completely out of my control, while she stood there smirking. Then this kid in the back stood up and barked loudly on purpose. "Is Tourette's contagious?" Another kid jumped up and started jerking his arms around. "I've got it too!" Within seconds, half Half the class was on their feet, yelling and twitching. The substitute threw up her hands. "Sit down, all of you!" Our front door burst open downstairs, and I froze in my gaming chair. I had muscular dystrophy and couldn't stand up on my own, which meant if the intruder found me here, I was toast. I heard footsteps on the stairs, and my life flashed before my eyes. But my walking cane was at my desk, and I suddenly got the most unhinged idea of all time. I used the little strength I had to put on my gaming headphones just as the door handle rattled, then faced the door and widened my eyes right when it opened. The man burst in, raising his crowbar. "Where's all the money?" But I just stared at him blankly, my heart pounding as I pretended to be blind and not see him, hoping he wouldn't hurt a blind person. He walked closer, the tip of his crowbar an inch from my face now. "Don't play dumb with me. Where's the money?" I swallowed dryly, but kept my face steady, knowing a single flinch would cook me. That's when I reached out towards my desk. My arms gave out halfway because they were so weak, but I'd gotten far enough to weakly slap my desk and pretend to search for something. He waved his hand in my face, and I knocked my $200 mouse off to really convince him I couldn't see. My fingers clamped around my walking cane, and I saw the intruder grip his head. He slowly lowered his crowbar. "I can't rob a blind person." His voice cracked, and he turned his back to me. I took a deep breath, and that's when I put all my power into lifting the cane. My tiny biceps shook as I hadn't lifted anything over 1 pound in months, but I jabbed it into the back of his neck, knowing that was the weakest part. He dropped to the floor with the crowbar still in his hand, not moving. Pretending to be blind worked. Our front
Yo, this isn't gonna work out in real life.
A little girl tugged my sleeve in the mall parking lot, tears streaming down her face. "Have you seen my mommy?" I crouched down to her level, keys still in my hand. "Hey, it's okay. What's she look like?" She sniffled and waved vaguely at the entire parking lot. "She has brown hair." I figured helping her out was the right thing to do, but I was wrong. I held her hand and walked her up and down 2 rows of cars, pointing at every woman I saw, but she just kept shaking her head. "Nope, not my mommy." She squeezed my hand tighter. "Can we check by the blue car? Mommy likes blue cars." We stopped right next to mine. "Oh, this isn't your mom's car. It's mine." She looked at it for a second too long. "Can you open it? Maybe she's hiding inside as a game." I told
Yo, that is not gonna happen.
her that didn't make any sense, but she started crying so hard I caved and hit the unlock button anyway. She peeked into the back seat, then straightened up and smiled at me. "You're a really good helper." Before I could ask what she meant, she kicked me square in the balls with everything her tiny leg had. I dropped to the pavement, and by the time my eyes uncrossed, she had already grabbed my keys and jumped behind the wheel, adjusting my seat all the way up. She rolled the window down halfway. "Tell your insurance company I said hi." Then she peeled out of the mall parking lot, going a solid 25 miles an hour. A little girl tugged my sleeve in the mall parking lot, tears streaming down her face. "Have you seen my mommy?" I crouched down to her level. I was crossing the road when the school quarterback slammed into me with his I was on my phone trying to finish a school assignment when Dad yanked it out of my hands. "No more phones in this house. They're bad for you." I instantly grabbed at his arm. "But Dad, I need it for schoolwork, and what if there's an emergency?" But he pushed me off and literally threw my phone in the bin. "You kids think everything is an emergency." He carried the bin bag outside, and I watched in shock as all my means of communication got tossed in the dumpster. But the next day, while walking home, a kid drove into me with his bike and knocked me into a ditch. My ankle popped, and I instinctively reached for my phone to call for help, but my heart sank as I remembered it wasn't there. I lay in the mud for over an hour, waiting for the pain to die down so I could get up. I finally limped home, soaking
Damn.
and in pain. 2 hours later, "Please, I need a phone." I showed Dad my swollen ankle, but he
Why?
didn't even look up from his plate. "You're not getting a phone," I tried to argue, but he slammed his fist down.
Or this dad is stupid.
"No, if I ever catch you with one, I'll smash it in the driveway and ground you for the whole year." I
Yo,
gulped and
at
limped
this
upstairs,
point,
wanting
just
to cry.
like,
But the next morning, my English teacher
oh
saw
no,
me
leave
limping.
your
She
dad.
pressed her old phone into my hands after I explained everything and said, "It's not much, but every kid needs a way to call for help." My whole face lit up, and I immediately slipped it in my bag. I came home, crept past Dad, and every night after the house went dark, texted my friends under the covers. But then one night, the front door opened downstairs while I was texting. I heard heavy footsteps, then a stranger's voice told my dad to get up.
He might die. Why?
Blood ran cold, and when I quietly stepped into the hallway, a man stood in their doorway with his back to me, holding Dad at gunpoint. Watch a necklace now. I locked eyes.
Who's he holding? He's holding him at gunpoint. He's not looking at anybody. So, like, nothing's gonna happen.
With Dad over the man's shoulder and slid out my phone with shaking hands. Dad's eyes widened in anger seeing my phone, but I just texted 911 and crept back in my room. I got under the covers, praying he didn't hear me, when I heard the man's voice. What was that? He turned toward my room and my legs went numb, but suddenly the front door burst open downstairs. Police!
It's the police! The police, they caught him.
And tackled him to the ground. I got out of bed as they walked him out, shaking because my phone letting me call for help was the only reason Dad was alive. But when I looked up, he was staring at the phone in my hands with this murderous rage. He stormed over, his fists clenched, and I braced myself for him to scream. But then he hugged me. I was wrong for not letting you have a phone. Thank you for not listening to me while I was being an idiot. I was on my phone trying to finish a school
let's
assignment
go.
when Dad... The smoke alarm blared through the jail in the middle of the night, and I could already see the flames flickering down the hall. A guard ran past, throwing open every cell. Everybody out, now! All of the prisoners scrambled into the hallway, panicking and pushing toward the exit doors, and nobody even glanced at the security room as they ran past it. That's when I saw Officer Carlson through the window in its door. Help! The door is stuck! My chest tightened because he was the only guard who'd ever treated me with respect, and if I didn't help him, he wouldn't make it out alive. I ran toward the security room instead of the exit. Carlson, hang on! I started yanking on the door. It's jammed. I can't get it open.
Yo, this is the most, like, stupid thing to ever happen. Like, bro, flipping, if he opened the door and got in there, there's no way it's gonna,
coughing hard and
like,
panic
not
clawed up my
open.
throat because I knew we were running out of time.
I guess it's frozen,
I
but
pulled out the sharpened
I don't
toothbrush
know.
handle I kept for self-defense and held it up. Push from your side when I say go. I jammed the handle into the gap where the metal had bent from the heat and pulled with everything I had. Go! Carlson slammed his shoulder into the door and it didn't budge. For a second, I thought we'd run out of time as the smoke poured thicker down the hall, stinging my eyes and burning my throat. Try again! He slammed into the door again and it finally cracked open wide enough for him to squeeze through. He grabbed my shoulders, still shaking. You didn't have to do that. I looked at him through burning eyes, trying not to cry. You're the only one in here who has ever treated me like a person. I couldn't leave you behind. Firefighters ran in a minute later and pulled us both outside into the cold night air. The next day, Carlson stood in front of the parole board. This man saved my life while everyone else ran straight past him. The board approved my early release that same afternoon, and Carlson was the one who drove me to the bus station. The smoke alarm blared through the jail. I was showering in my 2-foot-wide bathroom when I heard my landlord say, "And through here is the bathroom." I froze under the running water because that voice was right outside my door. My stupid landlord was showing my place to renters without telling me. I panicked and my elbows smacked both walls, but the wall was so thin it flexed where I hit it. The doorknob started rattling and the landlord told them, "The rent here is super affordable." He was clearly lying, but I knew if that door opened, all those strangers would get flashed by my exquisite body. So I threw my shoulder against the door to hold it shut, but there was no room to brace and shampoo was burning my eyes. I grabbed for my towel, but my arm couldn't bend in that tiny bathroom, so I knocked it straight into the toilet. This place sucks. I wondered what kind of landlord gives tours while his tenant showers, but then the whole door thudded like he'd put his shoulder into it. He told the renters, "Don't worry, it'll open up. It just sticks sometimes." My legs started shaking, so I dove for the tiny window, but I got wedged halfway with my legs kicking behind me as the door started to open. I kicked off the toilet to rip myself free, and instead my whole body went through that flexing wall and took it with me. I crashed into the living room wrapped in the shower curtain and landed at the landlord's feet. I laid there in dead silence while 6 strangers stared at me, their eyes bouncing between me and the hole in the wall. I pulled the curtain tighter over my exquisite body. "Hey there, nice to meet you." The landlord cleared his throat. "Anyway, the rent here is $5,000. Super affordable, like I told you." I was showering in my 2-foot-wide bathroom when I heard my landlord.
Turn up the audio. You just need a flipping dipping. Turn up the audio on YouTube, you bum. Hello, Typhoon.
Say, "And through here is the bathroom." I froze under the running water because that voice was right outside my door. My stupid landlord was showing my place to renters without telling me. I panicked and my elbows smacked both walls.
Yo, he can't just do that.
But the wall was so
That's
thin
like
it flexed where I hit it. The doorknob started
surely.
rattling and the landlord told them, "The rent here is super affordable." He was clearly lying, but I knew if I was 3 hours into streaming Fortnite to 0 viewers when a notification popped up. Shadow Watcher donated $1,000. My heart skipped a beat because it was the first donation I had ever gotten.
Damn,
Oh, thank you,
$1,000
Shadow Watcher.
reviews.
Then I read the message out loud. Look out your window. I laughed and looked toward the window. Nice try, buddy, but there's nothing out here. I kept playing because I had no idea how bad this was about to get. Another message from Shadow Watcher popped up. Nice room. I love your Death Note poster. I froze
What are we
because
watching?
that poster wasn't in
We
view
are
of the
watching,
camera. How do you know I have a Death Note poster? I lost the match because a bot
Sigminus.
crept up behind me while I was distracted and got the kill. Then another message came through. Don't worry about it. Is that your blue car in the driveway? My hands went cold and I couldn't even bring myself to hit play again. Okay, this isn't funny. Who is this? That's when I heard 3 knocks on my window, slow and deliberate. I clenched my jaw so tight my teeth squeaked as I slowly turned toward the sound. I forced myself to look out the window and saw my best friend Bobby standing outside laughing, still holding his phone. My flabbers were gasted. I threw the window open
What
to
do you
let him
mean,
in.
bull
You've been out
right?
there this whole time? He dangled halfway through the window, one leg still hanging outside.
Bull
You should have seen your face when I said
Listen up. This is gonna make me rage. Basically, yeah, if I laugh, then I end the stream. But I didn't laugh just then. I didn't laugh.
the poster thing. I grabbed him by the collar and hauled him the rest of the way in. Still laughing, he held up his phone. I made a second account just to mess with you. I sat back down, half furious, half impressed, forgetting the stream was still running behind me. I'm keeping the $1,000. I was 3 hours into streaming.
Ooh.
I gave my girlfriend Paige her birthday present, hoping it would close the distance that had grown between us for months, but instead, she opened it, burst into tears, and ran out the door. My heart sank. Paige, wait! I ran after her, but she was already peeling out of the driveway. I didn't understand why she was upset, because she'd spent months telling me about an oil painting class she went to every Wednesday, so I'd spent $300 on a professional easel and paints, hoping it would show her I paid attention. She wouldn't answer my calls, so after 3 hours, I checked her location and found her at her parents' house. I got in my car, done guessing what I'd done wrong. When I got there, her dad stepped onto the porch and pulled the door shut behind him. Now's not a good time. Paige is upset. I crossed my arms. I deserve to know why my girlfriend just ran out crying on her own birthday. Her mom appeared next to him, pity on her face. Let him inside. There's something he needs to hear. She led me to a bedroom door and pounded on it. Paige, come out and tell him the truth, or I will. Paige stepped out. Mascara streaked down her face in dark lines.
Yo, Panhat GT. Poo poo.
I grabbed her shoulders. What? I found my son sobbing over a plate of food while my wife knelt beside
I'll be
him
right
and
back,
whispered,
guys.
"Take one more bite, baby." My son sobbed, "I don't want to eat anymore, mommy." My son dropped the fork. Everything's fine, dad. But when I looked closer at him, I realized he'd gained a lot of weight that I hadn't noticed because of my cancer diagnosis, the one I hadn't told them about yet. Why was my wife forcing our son to be overweight? My wife smiled nervously. Anyway, I was thinking we should get eggs for breakfast tomorrow. I moved past her and pulled open the pantry. There were large containers of mass gainers sitting side by side, and a chart was taped inside the door written in my son's handwriting. I grabbed it and saw he was recording his weight gain week after week. My hands were shaking and I turned around. Somebody tell me what's going on, right now. My wife opened her mouth to try and change the conversation topic again, but my son slammed his hands down. No, Mom, let's just tell him the truth. He turned to me with tears streaming down his face. Dad, I know you have cancer. I felt the wall I'd been holding up for months just collapse. He looked down at the ground. I heard you on the phone with the doctor. You need a bone marrow transplant. And I looked it up, and it said donors have to weigh at least 110 pounds. And I was only 80 pounds when I found out. He pushed the plate away. So I've been eating every single day, even when it hurts. I sank into the chair beside him. I'd been hiding my cancer from my family because I didn't want it to hurt them. And they were hiding the solution because they didn't want to hurt me either.
Damn.
Tears filled my eyes, because there was one more secret I had to tell them. Well, I guess this is a good time to tell you guys. I'm in remission. The chemotherapy was a success, so there's no need for transplants. I watched my son's face go from braced to excited, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. My wife pressed both hands over her mouth.
Amazing.
My son wrapped his arms around my neck. I knew we could do it, Dad. I found my
Wow.
I was playing drums in a music class when the conductor raised his fist and yelled, "Cut!" His bald head turned toward me, and he walked over with a frown before pushing me off my chair. He dragged my drum kit screeching to the center of the
What did he do wrong? It can't have been that bad.
room and asked, "Were you rushing or were you dragging?" I opened my mouth and nothing came out, so he straightened up and announced to everyone, "Nobody leaves this room until the freshman finds his tempo." My
Bro, you can't just do that, like, bro.
hands went cold on my sticks because I'd practiced 2 years just to make his band, and one nod from him decided everything. I sat back down, grabbed my sticks and hammered out 4 bars, but his fist shot up and cut me dead. Rushing.
That, bro, this teacher needs to chill down. If I was him, like the drummer guy, if I kept on going wrong, I'm just leaving the class.
Again, I wiped my palms on
I'm
my
just
jeans
leaving
and
the
started over,
class.
but his fist snapped up on my second hit, dragging. Again, I mouthed the counts to myself and tried again, so he stormed over and screamed his own counts into my ear until spit hit my cheek. A trombone player groaned, "Not again, this happens every year." So he whipped around, ripped the trombone out of her hands, and laid it across my snare. "Every note she doesn't play is on you, freshman." My hands were shaking so hard my sticks rattled against the rims, but on the next count, I stopped searching his face, put my head down, and just played. He slammed his hand flat on my crash cymbal and put his face an inch from mine. "Were you rushing or were you dragging?"
Yo, just chill down.
My face heated up in an instant. I stood up, lifted my floor tom, and slammed it down over his bald head. His head punched
Oh, damn.
straight through with one loud bang, and he froze with the drum hanging around his neck like a collar. I sat back down, tapped a stick against my chin, and leaned toward him. "Were you rushing or were you dragging?" He called the cops and kicked me off the band, but it was worth it. I was playing drums in a music
Yeah, that was worth it for sure.
My daughter fell into the Mississippi River, but before I could even jump in to save her, a huge Newfoundland was already dragging her out. I immediately sprinted over as he hauled her onto the bank by her coat, and my hands were shaking as I held her, because that current was strong enough to pull grown men under, and my daughter was only 6. "You saved my daughter's life. You're coming with us, boy." The second we got home,
What?
I threw him the biggest steak in my fridge, and he grabbed it in
Oh,
his
it's a
teeth and
dog. I thought they were just kidnapping a random little boy.
bolted out the door, and I figured we'd never see him again. But the next day, we were on a walk when I spotted another kid drowning in the Mississippi, in the exact same spot
Yo,
my
that's the bully kid guy. That's the one who's always the bully in the
daughter
schools.
was yesterday. As soon as a crowd formed, the same dog sprinted in out of nowhere and saved the day. I raised an eyebrow and turned to my wife. "Isn't it a little strange that this happened 2 days in a row?" She put her hands on her hips. "How dare you question a hero?" But a week later, the 7th kid was drowning in the Mississippi River, and it was the 7th day in a row that the dog dragged the kid out and enjoyed his steak afterward.
7. How many kids are gonna get stuck in the river? Like, honestly.
I furrowed my eyebrows because no one had drowned in that river for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it was happening every single day. So one morning, I hid behind the boathouse and spied on him, and for 4 hours, he just slept in the sun, until I saw my wife come down the path with our daughter. The second she stopped to greet a neighbor, our daughter started chasing a pigeon, heading straight toward the bank. The dog instantly started running towards my daughter and knocked her into the water.
Oh, that's crazy.
I instantly shot up, and as soon as the dog saw me, he ran into the water, grabbed my daughter by the collar, and dragged her to the side
So this is like a murdering dog.
where she coughed up water. I gasped, and the dog wagged his tail with his mouth wide open, already waiting for his steak. The color drained from my face because I couldn't believe it. He was never saving anyone. He was pushing kids in the water and then saving them because he knew someone would hand him a steak afterwards.
Yo, that is stupid.
And I handed him the very first one. That night there was a scratch at my door, and the dog was sitting on my step, still waiting for his reward. My daughter fell in.
Yeah, you won't get any reward now.
I was in the wheelchair-accessible area of the concert, enjoying the show, when a man without a wheelchair stopped in front of me. His back was turned to me, so I tapped his shoulder. "Can you move, please? I can't see over you." But he bent down and laughed in my face. "Nope, I can't see over anyone in the general section, but nobody here blocks my view." "But you're blocking my view," I replied, and he instantly flipped his VIP lanyard up. "Okay.
Nobody cares about the VIP.
Then do something about it. This event organizer is my dad." He laughed and turned back, standing even closer to me so I couldn't see a thing except his Gucci suit. My hands tightened because I'd saved 6 months for these tickets, having waited 5 years for this band to come to my city. They announced they'd be playing my favorite song next,
Just kick him and then he'd fall over and then he'd start crying and run away.
and my chest
That's what would happen in these cartoon thingy-majiggies.
went cold.
But yeah.
Can you move for just this song? Just this one? I've been dreaming to see it live, but he wouldn't even turn back this time. No, this one's my favorite. I tried to wheel around him to see the song, but the row was too packed to move, and that's when my wheel bumped his hip. He instantly spun around, suddenly red in the face. Touch me one more time and my dad will sue you so hard you'll have to sell that little transportation device just to pay him back. My chest was
Yo.
burning as he kicked my wheelchair hard enough to rattle it and turned back around. I waved over the security guard. He stormed over. What's going on? But the man just held his lanyard up. The event organizer's my dad. Get him if you want to talk to me. The security guard looked at me, then simply walked away, and my heart shattered while everyone around me screamed the words to my favorite song. I was now
Can't you just like move? Like yeah. Get your push that, go down, like
nearly in
hit the guy,
tears, still
and then
staring at the man's
go
back
to the
when
front.
suddenly
Yeah, like just go down.
a man in a suit walked over. What's going on, son? My eyes widened, realizing this was the dad. The man pointed down at me. Tell him to stop complaining. I'm trying to watch the show. I opened my mouth to explain, but the dad interrupted. Son, would you mind pressing that button on your wheelchair? I stared up at him, confused, but he nodded. Press it. So I did. My chair drove straight into his son's hip, and he screamed
Yes.
and fell. Dad, why did you tell him to do that? His dad stood over him. Since you want to watch the show from down here, you should meet the qualifications. He pressed the button on my chair for me again, driving me into his son's foot again while he screamed in
Yeah, he kind of deserves that though.
pain. The next song started, and I watched the band over the top of him. Now he was the one who couldn't see over me. I
Yeah, but get stand up.
was in the wheelchair accessible. As soon as my dad's lawyer said his will left everything to me, I heard my brother George's hands slam against the table. That's insane.
Well, there's probably a reason that he's giving it to the other guy, because this guy's already complaining.
He only did that because Ryan made him feel bad by faking being blind. My throat closed up because I lost my eyesight 8 years ago in a car accident. You know that's not true. I heard his chair scrape back and the door open. I'm going to prove you aren't blind in court, and I'm taking every penny when I do. I turned towards him. George, wait! But the door slammed behind him.
Yeah, actually, he could be faking it, because he looked at the door.
A week later, I found myself sitting in a courtroom while George's lawyer stood at the front
And he's looking at this guy.
and presented their
What's the comments? Bro, somebody said bro has 670 dads.
case to the judge. Your Honor, we have proof the defendant isn't blind at all. Papers shuffled at their table. We have a video of him reacting to things nobody would notice without their sight. The judge's chair creaked as she leaned forward. Go on. I heard a laptop click open. Watch closely, Your Honor. In this video, he turns his head every time a car passes. George cut in, his voice smug. And he's been faking it for 8 years just to guilt our father. The judge turned her attention to me. Ryan, can you explain the head movement? My mouth went dry as I turned towards her voice. Blind people turn towards sound. That's hearing, not seeing. The judge stayed quiet, and my chest went tight, because it felt like she might actually believe George over me. Dad's lawyer finally stood up. Your Honor, before this goes any further, I need to show the court a video my client's father recorded before he died. I heard George's breath catch beside me. Then a laptop clicked open, and Dad's voice filled the courtroom. If you're watching this, George is trying to take my will to court. I left everything to Ryan because he was the only one who visited without asking for money. George, I know you stole over $200,000 from me over the last 10 years.
200,000! How flipping rich is this guy?
I have every bank record and every excuse you gave the accountant, so you get nothing. Nobody spoke until the judge cleared her throat. I think we're done here. This case is dismissed. I heard George's chair scrape back hard, and this time nobody tried to stop him from storming out. As soon as my dad's lawyer
Yeah, serves
said
him right.
I pushed my girlfriend down the water slide and she screamed, "Wee! I'm so happy you took me to this vacation resort."
Yo.
I smiled because I was glad we were on vacation to work on our relationship. My mom is here, you have to hide. I was rehearsing my proposal speech in the bathroom.
Yo,
I
what
was
are
swinging
these?
at the park when my mom's phone slipped out of my back pocket, and the
Why do you have your mom's phone?
3 biggest bullies snatched it before I could grab it. They've
Yo, oh my. Punch him in the face.
tormented me since kindergarten, and now they dangled it over my head. Want your mommy's phone back? One of them pointed across the lot at a group of cops eating from a box of donuts on their car hood. Then go steal those donuts for us. He rubbed his belly. Papa's hungry. They whipped out
Just tell the police that they've stolen the
their
phone.
phones to
Like,
record
bro.
me, but I couldn't lose my mom's phone, so my legs shook toward the cops, praying I wouldn't get arrested. I snuck up behind the cop car, close enough to smell the vanilla and chocolate
Just tell the flipping police. It's not that hard.
frosting, and my fingers grazed the box, relief flooding over me because this was easy. But then a cop slid it farther down the hood, way out of reach, and my hands started shaking. I looked back, and the bullies were
Also, you're not gonna get arrested for doing that.
recording and cackling while the whole park stared. Everything in me wanted to run, but my mom worked double shifts for that phone, so I rose onto my toes, sucked in a breath, and grabbed the
Stop trying to steal it! Oh my god.
box. I turned to bolt with a grin, but a huge palm dropped onto my head, stopping me cold. I spun around to a donut-loving cop towering over me, crumbs falling
Just tell him why he's done it.
from his lips onto my face. Are you stealing from a cop, young man? The other cops crossed their arms behind him. I was frozen, and his hand went to his cuffs. You're coming with me, son. Tears spilled down my face, because I'd never stolen anything in my life, but I did
Yo, they're not gonna arrest him for flipping stealing 2
it
donuts.
for my mom. The bullies howled across the lot, and I dropped my head, sure I was going to jail. The cop marched me across the lot, but when I lifted my head, he'd stopped me right in front of the bullies. I stood there confused, until he pointed at the 3 of them. You're all under arrest for theft and bullying. Their laughter died as he snatched the
Yeah, it serves them right.
phones from their hands. And you just filmed yourselves committing a crime. These are evidence now. They started crying, but the cop shushed them. Now give this boy his phone back before I
How did he know? Surely, maybe he just watched them.
add robbery to your charges. They shoved my mom's phone into my hands, sobbing, and the cop knelt down to me. We saw those punks grab your phone and force you over here the whole time. As they got cuffed, a cop handed me a donut. Papa's hungry, I said, biting into it in their faces. I was
Yeah, yep, serves them right.
sitting next to the fire with my friend Dean deep in the Appalachian Mountains.
But I don't think they should have been arrested for that. Like, that's not a flipping good enough reason to, like, yeah.
When we heard a baby crying somewhere past the tree line, he immediately jumped up and I grabbed his arm. Don't. My uncle told me if you hear something like that out here, you don't look or answer. You have to pretend you never heard it. Dean stared at me like I'd lost it, but he sat back down. I didn't tell him that my uncle also said the ones who don't listen never come back the same. The crying got closer, and Dean gripped his knees so hard his knuckles went white. I can't just sit here. I've got a daughter at home. What if it was her? I shook my head.
Yo, if their daughters are home, it's not gonna be them. Because they're at home, you bum.
It's not a real baby, not out here. The crying stopped dead, then started again a few feet closer. Dean stood up and grabbed the flashlight. I'm going to check. I can't just do nothing. I grabbed his sleeve, but he shook me off, walking straight toward the sound. Dean, stop. He didn't turn around, and 30 seconds later, my heart sank.
I would just be out of there. I'm not taking any risk. I'm just gonna stay there. I'm gonna leave. If it's coming that way, I'm going the other way.
Because I couldn't see his flashlight anymore. I sat frozen at the fire for what felt like an hour before I heard footsteps coming back through the brush. Dean stepped into the firelight, smiling like nothing had happened. False alarm, man. I guess we were just hearing things. Every word came
Yo, he is obviously not the same. With that weird-ass smile.
out flat, like he was talking without breathing at all. And I realized this thing wasn't Dean. I grabbed my knife off
Yeah,
the log
exactly.
beside me
This guy's actually not that dumb. Sometimes.
and backed away from the fire. Get away from me! The thing wearing Dean's face tilted its head
Oh, hell no.
all the way
I'm out of there.
to one side, farther than a neck should bend, and the sound
No, that's... I'm doing that right now. That's easy. What do you want about? I can do that. I'm doing that right now. I can do that.
of the baby's cry came out of its mouth. It lunged
Oh,
at me,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
and the fire went out. I was sitting.
You're not gonna tell me what happened?
I pulled a metal water bottle from my bag and chucked it at the teacher across the hallway, praying it would hit her. Earlier that day, I'd accidentally dumped my lunch tray on the biggest senior in school, and he told me he'd be waiting for me after school to pick me
Bro,
up.
I
So I
don't
didn't get
care.
detention to
Just...
avoid
What does he mean he's gonna leave him? He's gonna wait for him. Like, let's be honest. If he's waiting
the
for
water-
him outside, just go out somewhere else, something like that. I'd be getting on my bus.
bottle cracked Ms. Okafor in her back, and she spun around. Oh my God! I braced for screaming and detention, but she shook my hand. Thank you so much. That popped my hip back into place. I haven't felt it pain-free in years. She walked off smiling, and when I looked over, Brad was looking at me clutching his knuckles. When
Yo, oh my god, that guy is not
Saw the principal round the corner. I tried pulling the fire alarm. He looked at my hand on the lever. "Did you set this off?" I said yes, thinking this was definitely detention, but he grabbed my shoulders. "You're a hero, son. The toaster in the teacher's lounge is on fire. We need to evacuate." The whole school instantly spilled onto the campus. And
Of course he's right there. But luckily, all the teachers are there, so like he can't like attack
Dad
him.
walked over next to me. At 3 o'clock, I'm bringing a knife. My hands shook in fear and frustration because how hard was it to get detention? We started walking back inside.
What? Why does he have a knife with him?
Because the building was safe, and that's when I stuck my leg out. My teacher face planted in front of our whole class, then looked right at me. "Extra homework." I grabbed my head and threw my arms in the air. "Can I please have detention instead?" But she crossed her arms. "No, Brad wants to whoop your and I'm not gonna stop him because that's what a delinquent like you needs." I stared in disbelief as Brad chuckled behind me. 2 hours later, the bell rang, and I walked to the bike rack, legs shaking. I tried to grab my bike and just hurry off, but Brad turned the corner smiling. He walked straight towards me grinning, and I raised my trembling fists, ready to fight. That's when a teacher came sprinting. He stepped in front of Brad. "What did I tell you? You have detention with me today. Let's go." Brad's jaw went tight, and he followed him inside, locking eyes with me the whole way. I watched Brad sit down in detention, and my stomach went cold. If my plan to get detention worked, I'd be locked in with Brad right now. I pulled a metal water bottle from my bag.
Damn.
I was in a boxing ring when a right hand slammed into my face and put me flat on the canvas. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard the announcer scream, "Tonight's winner gets 50 grand on the spot in cash." I immediately tried to push myself back up and reminded myself that my wife was in a
Wait. Oh, it's kind of quiet.
hospital bed waiting.
Oh, it's kind of quiet.
Hospital bed waiting.
Oh. Wait, no, I think it's okay now. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I just gotta be like decently loud.
Waiting for me. The only way I could save her was by winning this 50 grand boxing match. That's when the champ who'd just knocked me down screamed, "Watch this," and replayed his punch for the crowd, and I froze. His left shoulder would dip right before the right hand came out. He'd just shown me how his best punch starts, so I bit down on my mouth guard and climbed up before the count hit 10. He saw me stand up and immediately rushed over, pinning me in the corner. Every punch that hit my face made the lights flash white. I covered up and watched for that left shoulder, but he just picked me apart with jabs, saving the big one for the cameras. My legs went to jelly, my right eye swelled shut, so the ref grabbed my gloves and asked, "Can you go on?" But a stopped fight would pay nothing, so I shoved his hands off and yelled, "I can do this all day." The bell rang, and my cornerman dragged me onto the stool. He had his phone pressed to his ear, but one look at his white face told me it was bad. "The hospital said your wife's condition got worse. They're prepping her tonight, but they need the money before they operate." The crowd noise dropped out of my ears, and my mind just went blank. I pushed off the stool before the break even ended. Across the ring, the champ spread his arms.
I mean, yo, you might be cooked. Just maybe.
To the whole arena. "This is the last round this man ever fights." He was
Yeah, probably. I mean, I would be running out there right now. I wouldn't even be there in the first place.
right. He rushed over and rocked me with a combo, and the whole arena came up on their feet. I could
Yeah. He is dead.
barely see, but I kept my good eye locked on his left shoulder. He turned to the camera
His good eye. Okay.
and wound up that same right hand for the highlight reel, and that's when the shoulder dipped. I ducked under it with everything I had left and landed my counter clean
Oh!
on his chin. He dropped like a sack of potatoes. The ref counted him out while I held
Don't you like hold their leg up or
myself up on
something?
the ropes, and the announcer grabbed
Yeah, he won.
my
Wait,
arm,
how much?
yelling, "He
Oh,
wins! 50
that's like 50 grand.
grand cash on the spot." I grabbed the stack
Oh, I don't think that was a laugh.
of cash and climbed through the ropes, and
I didn't laugh at this either.
behind me, my cornerman was yelling into his phone, "Tell her he's on his way." My wife made a full recovery, but the first thing she did when she woke up was ban me from ever boxing again.
But he just won 50 grand and he's banned. He's like the world champion now.
My friends and I were having a beach bonfire for my birthday when red and blue lights flashed and a cop ATV pulled up.
What? Nobody invited that guy.
"Party's over. Clear out now."
What? Why would he do? What?
He kicked sand all over us, and
No, fire this guy.
Everyone started packing up, but my drunk friend Danny shoved the cop in the chest. Piss off! You're not ruining my boy's birthday! Everyone froze, and the cop reached for his belt.
He is cooked, but he needs to get arrested.
Just put your hands on an officer, son. Big mistake, but I
Big mistake. No, but he's gonna go, if they need to record this.
stared in horror because Danny never knew when to quit, and this was about to get crazy. The cop yanked out his handcuffs and grabbed Danny's wrist. You're under arrest, but Danny hit him with some drunk jujitsu move and smacked the cuffs out of his hands. Nah, bruh, you should be arrested for being a party pooper. The cop's eyes went
Yo.
wide. Then he grabbed his radio, requesting backup. He pointed at all of us. Everyone here is coming to the station tonight, including the birthday boy. My heart sank, and everyone panicked, but Danny just grinned. Oh yeah? How you gonna get us there? The cop scratched his head, confused, until Danny snatched the ATV keys right off his belt, hopped on, and floored it down the beach.
No, okay, this guy needs to get arrested for that, but...
Try to catch me, boy! The cop sprinted after him as we all chased behind.
Oh, so why doesn't he just bring a car instead?
That's a felony. You're going to prison. I wanted to die because this was embarrassing, until Danny swerved, almost hitting a screaming woman on the sand, and drove the ATV straight into the crashing waves. He vanished
And then he's dead. Yep.
under the water, and everyone gasped because I was sure he'd either drowned or is getting life in prison. But then I saw Danny burst out of the massive waves, gasping. The woman he'd almost hit was screaming and pointing at the water. My son is drowning, officer, help him!
What?
Then Danny came up carrying a limp little boy, coughing but alive. Everyone was stunned because he did something no sober person would do. Just then, 3 cop cars pulled up as he laid the kid in his sobbing mother's arms. She angrily pointed at the cop. That guy saved my baby, and he's not even a real cop. You just stood there. What kind of cop are you?
Yeah, he's a horrible cop.
The other officers shook their heads and told him to go to the station. Danny put his hand on my shoulder. Happy birthday, bro. Then he collapsed face first into the sand.
Oh, yep. That's a great ending.
I was mid-set on the bench press with my service dog Rex beside me when a woman yanked my earbuds out. Get that mud out of here. This is a gym, not a dog pound. I racked the bar and snatched my earbuds back. He's a service dog. I'm a vet. He helps with my PTSD. Right then, a rack of weights slammed down, and the bang sent me straight back to the war. But Rex leaned into my side until I could breathe again. She laughed. Nice try. PTSD isn't real, and I'm allergic to dogs, so it
Yo, get out.
can't be here. But I could tell she was
No, go somewhere else. She's right by a dog. She's gonna flipping die or something. I don't know.
lying, and I wasn't going to let her take him. I picked up the bar hoping she'd go away, but instead she waved down a staff member and pointed at Rex. That dog is a health violation and I'm allergic. She fake coughed. Get it out! The miserable employee rolled his eyes. Sir, we've had a complaint. The dog needs to go outside. I stood up fast.
No,
He's a federally protected service animal, you can't. But heavy plates crashed onto the gym floor, and the war memories came back. My hands shaking, my breath tightening. I knew if they took Rex, I'd have a panic attack right there. But before the employee could even move, she snatched Rex's leash herself. Don't worry, I'll tie this mutt to a pole outside. The employee just shrugged and walked off, and as more weights banged around me, the war roared louder, my legs turning to stone. I reached for Rex, but he was already being dragged toward the door, and I couldn't move to save him. The gunfire in my head roared, and I collapsed, my vision blurring as I screamed. But from across the gym, Rex saw me hit the floor, and he yanked the leash so hard he knocked the
Like, bro, it's gone from flipping, a flipping guy, just this woman allergic from dogs, to this full-on, like, attacking thing.
woman flat, dragging her halfway to me before landing on my chest. His weight pressed down until the
I thought she was allergic to dogs. I thought she was allergic.
gunfire faded, and the room came back. The manager stormed.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
The doctor wouldn't even look at me as he slid a folder across his desk. Your daughter needs another round of treatment within 6 weeks, or her organs will start shutting down. My wife squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. Will insurance cover it? He shook his head. They already denied it.
Will
It'll be
insurance
$40,000
cover
out of pocket.
Will insurance what?
I started to cry because I'd already sold my truck and drained our savings, and the fear of losing her made my chest hurt. What are we going to do? My wife squeezed my hand. We'll figure it out. I had no idea she already had a plan of her own. That night, I woke at 2 in the morning and found her sitting in the living room in the dark, scrolling on her phone. What are you doing up? She jumped so hard she dropped it. Couldn't sleep. Just reading about treatment options.
This is sketchy. What is that? What is that face?
She locked the screen fast and shoved it in her pocket. On the way back to bed, I passed my daughter's room and poked my head in to check on her. My heart broke because she was struggling to breathe and coughing in her sleep. The next night, my wife grabbed her purse, refusing to look at me. I'm going to visit my sister for a few hours. Something felt off, so I waited until she pulled out of the driveway, then followed her in my own car, my mind racing through explanations that made less and less sense. She drove past her sister's street and pulled into a grocery store parking lot. Then she backed into a dark corner facing the emergency exit and pulled on a black ski mask, and a chill ran down my spine. I pulled up beside her
So what? Sorry, I wasn't listening. What's up? What's just happened?
and got out before she could drive away. "What are you doing?" She started sobbing. "I'm going to
She's a flipping robber.
rob this store for the money." My legs turned into noodles. "You can't." Her eyes went cold. "I can. I'd rob 100 of them
Isn't that his mom?
to keep her alive." For a second, I thought about stopping her. Then I pictured our daughter's face in that hospital bed, and nothing else mattered. I walked around to her passenger seat and got in. "I'm not letting you do this alone." Got another mask? Inside, my hands shook so
Why would she have a spare mask?
hard I could barely hold the bag while she calmly emptied the register. We were back
Calmly,
in the car
they do
within
not
90
look
seconds.
calm.
Neither of us speaking the whole drive home. 6 weeks later, our daughter finished her treatment, and now she's healthy and thriving.
Yay. But, bro, if this was real, he's just, like, leaked his full story on, like, robbing a bank. Like, that would just be
The
stupid.
doctor, my dad slammed the brakes at a red light, and the sudden shock sent my peanut butter jelly sandwich flying out of my
No, not
hands.
the
It
peanut
splattered
butter
across the
jelly
seat, and
butter
Dad instantly turned, jelly
thingy-majiggy.
dripping from his hair.
No, not the peanut butter jelly butter thingy majiggy.
"I know you did that on purpose. You're getting the belt when we're home." My chest froze, and
Oh, he has cooked.
I begged him. It
Is that even legal now? I don't think that's legal anymore.
was an accident, but suddenly the door opened. A man in a ski mask slid in next to me and pressed a gun against Dad's headrest. "Drive now." I went cold with fear, and Dad's hands began shaking. "Just take my car, man. I don't want trouble." But the man smiled. "I don't want your car, Mr. Reeves. I want you and your kid. Drive to the old packaging plant." My legs trembled because he knew Dad's name. "Sir, why are you doing this?" My voice shook as we pulled onto the main road, but the man just clenched his jaw. "Because in college, your dad bullied my sister until she jumped off a bridge. So now
Oh, that's not good.
I'm gonna teach your dad what it's like to lose family." He smiled at me, and my throat instantly closed up as I realized this meant he would kill us. He shoved
Yeah, no, Shucks is gonna kill you. He's got a gun. And a...
the gun harder,
Yeah.
now dry, but then his voice suddenly slurred. He tilted to the side and scratched his wrist, and that's when I saw red bumps start climbing up his arm. "What the hell?" He looked down at his hand. Peanut butter was smeared all over it from where he'd slid in. "Is that
Oh, he's allergic to peanut butter.
peanut butt?" His throat closed around the word as his fingers lost strength and let go of the gun. It dropped to the floor mat as he slumped against the window. "I'm allergic to pee." Dad instantly
He's allergic to pee?
parked and jumped out, restraining the man while I kicked his gun into the street and called 911. The paramedics carried him off breathing through a tube, and a cop told us that dropped peanut butter sandwich probably saved our lives. We got back in the car trembling,
I mean, it's good they've saved it. Him dropping
and
it
Dad
saved
picked
his
up my
life.
squished sandwich. "You're lucky that man got in. You'd be getting the belt if your stupid act hadn't saved us."
Yeah. Okay.
I shoveled my 61st donut into my mouth,
61st. No. Why is he counting how many donuts he's eating?
fighting the urge to get sick. And when I looked over, my opponent was already swallowing donut number 70. I'd entered the annual donut
Oh, because it's a tournament on eating.
eating contest because the winner got $20,000, and I needed that money to afford my daughter's cancer surgery to save her life. She was front row cheering me on like I was her donut-eating hero, but 60 Boston creams had me questioning if her surgery was actually even worth it. I picked up my
What do you
60-second
mean-
donut wanting to
What do you mean if it's even worth it?
cry because I needed to reach 100 to win when something from the crowd caught my eye. My opponent's kid was pointing and laughing at my daughter's bald head, screaming that her dad was a
Nope, that's not nice.
loser while she tried covering her head with tears in her eyes. My fists clenched under the table and we made eye contact, but I knew screaming at him wasn't going to save her. Eating donuts was, so I closed my eyes and started shoveling. The crowd's jaws dropped as I stuffed donut after donut, chugging water between bites, and with 10 donuts and no will to live left, I finally passed my opponent. My daughter pumped her fists as momentum was on my side, but then it happened. When the judges turned to the scoreboard, my opponent quickly slid 4 donuts off his stack onto mine. He grinned, and I slumped over my table in horror because nobody had seen it but me. Give it up. Your daughter's surgery isn't happening. He laughed over his stack of 7 while mine now had.
To be honest, if that was actually happening to somebody like in real life, I would let him win.
At 14, my vision
But I wouldn't be in this tournament anyways, because I cannot eat that much.
blurred as I raised my head, ready to tell my daughter the Boston Creams had defeated me. But then I saw her writing something on a giant piece of cardboard. Her weak fingers trembled as she pressed the pen down, but she finished, then stood up and raised the sign over her head. Go, Dad, I love you. Her hands wobbled because she barely had the strength to hold it up, but she was trying for me anyway, and I realized I needed to try for her too. So while my opponent laughed and ate slowly, I grabbed the next donut and shoved. The next 2 minutes can only be described as peak athletic human performance, and as I
Peak athletic human performance. What? He also looks like
stuffed the
look at that face he's making when he's eating. Some of these animations are like a bit off, let's say.
described
Yeah, what's up, Axolotl Boy 24?
as peak athletic human performance, and as I stuffed the very last donut into my mouth, my opponent gripped his head, realizing what was happening. I swallowed, and the judge immediately grabbed my wrist and threw it in the air. We have a winner! I broke down crying as the $20,000 check was handed to me, and my daughter crashed into my arms, screaming, "You did it, Daddy!" I hugged her tight. No, kiddo, we did it. But then I felt my stomach turning as I sent the 100 Boston Creams all over my opponent. I shoveled my 61st
Damn. So all of that just to be sick?
donut into my
Did he make money from it though? Right? I think
mouth.
he did.
I was lying in bed when my dad leaned into my doorway and said, "If you hear any strange noises tonight, do not get out of bed, no matter what." I clutched my blanket close to my chest. "All right, Dad, I promise I won't." He flicked off the light and left. 2 minutes later, something crashed downstairs, and a voice that wasn't his growled, "You're dead." Then my actual dad started yelling, "No, no, no, not like this." My entire body started shaking because my mom wasn't home, so I was the only one who could help my dad. Something heavy slammed into the wall downstairs, hard enough to rattle my window, and I yanked the blanket up to my forehead with my eyes locked on the door. I heard chairs tipping over, then glass shattered, and I heard Dad yell, "Wait, don't shoot me!" So I bolted up and grabbed my bat ready to go protect him, but his words were stuck in my head. "Do not get out of bed no matter what." But his yelling turned into begging. "Please, I'll do anything." And my arms went weak because I'd never heard him beg in my life. I grit my
This is pretty insane.
teeth and decided that Dad's life mattered more than a promise. I tiptoed to my door and
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
opened it halfway, but that's when Dad went silent, and the back of my neck went cold, because at least the begging had meant he was still alive. I stopped thinking, counted to 3 in my head, and charged down there screaming, "Don't worry, Dad, I'll save you." I came around the corner mid-scream with the bat over my head, and there was Dad on the couch with a headset on, yelling, "No, don't shoot me," at the TV. The growl blasted
Oh my, bro. It's a freaking video game.
out of the speakers again. "You're dead, old man." Dad saw me, ripped the headset off, and said, "Your mom banned me from playing, so I had to get creative." Turns out, my dad just wanted to play the game without me or mom knowing, and the voices had been him arguing with a kid online. I
Yo.
dropped the bat, and he pointed the controller at me. "This is exactly why I told you to stay in bed. You better not tell your mother." He yanked me down onto the couch and shoved the second controller into my hands while I was still catching my breath.
I wouldn't mind if my dad was playing on the flipping Xbox or PlayStation, bro.
I was lying in bed when I was in line for flight 1001 to Houston to visit my family when a woman collapsed on the floor screaming, "That plane is going to crash! Don't get on it!" Everyone gasped as she tugged the leg of the man behind me, and he kicked her off. "You're insane, lady!" But people in front of the line
Oh, that's his friend from the other one.
went pale, clutching their boarding passes to their chests. "Oh my God, are we gonna die?" Kids started crying, and the boarding pass shook in my hands. I was 3 people from the door, so close I could see the flight attendants smiling inside, and I had no idea if she was crazy or if she was telling the truth. She scrambled to her feet and grabbed a woman's arm, then a man's jacket, yanking at anyone she could reach. "Please, I'm trying to save you!" 2 gate agents rushed over and grabbed her
Can she like read the future or something?
shoulders, trying to walk her away quietly, but she thrashed harder, tears streaming down her face. "They're trying to kill us all!" That's when I saw the agent's hands shaking, one whispering, "I'm scared. What do we do?" And my stomach turned, because if they were uncertain, was she actually right? The crowd split around me, half yelling, calling her crazy, the other half running away from the gate, gripping their kids, and all I could think about was my parents waiting in Houston, and how if she was right, I'd never hug them again. Then security stormed in and grabbed her, dragging her toward the exit as she clawed at the floor. "Tell them to check the engine!" Everyone was too frozen to speak, but the way she said it, so specific, made me step up to the gate agent. "I don't know if she's crazy, but could you please just check the engine?" She nodded, pale, and bolted toward the jet bridge to radio the crew. The whole terminal went silent as we waited, everyone frozen, watching the jet bridge. Then the agent came running back, tears running down her face. "They found a crack in the engine. If that
Oh, that lady wasn't crazy. She's actually like a lifesaver.
plane had taken off, it would have gone down for sure and killed everybody." Some people dropped to their knees, others sobbing into their hands. She was right, but the fear melted into relief because I'd get to hug my parents again. But confusion hit me. If she was right, where had they taken her? I rushed over to a security guard and asked, but he shrugged.
That's the really bad police guy.
"Back to the psych ward. She's known for doing this at airports." I wanted to tell him she just saved every soul on that flight, but he walked away. Everyone called her crazy, but no one asked how she knew.
No, they need to keep her.
I was in line for flight 1001 to Houston. I was walking home from school when I saw someone dressed in a worn-out duck costume, waving at me, and my mom yanked me inside before I could get closer. She yelled, "Don't go near that duck. Legend says if you take off his mask, he'll make you regret it
Why does a duck have a mask? What?
and never leave you alone." She said nobody knew where he came from. I peeked through the window and watched
Why?
two
Why would it? Why? What is that?
kids sprint past the duck as he quacked at them, screaming. But I had no friends and ate lunch alone behind the bleachers every day, so I figured unmasking him was the most interesting thing that would happen to me all year. So the next day, I went looking for him. I spotted the duck quacking at kids on the corner, so I crouched behind a bush and crept up behind him. Right as my fingers grazed the mask, his head snapped around and stared dead at me. The beak was inches from
Yeah, he might just die.
my face, and I bolted. The duck took off after me. Quack, quack. I sprinted toward my house, but he stayed right on me. Was he about to kidnap me? Was the legend true? Then there was 1 second where I felt his fingers touch my backpack, and didn't, and that scared me more than if he had. I saw him close behind me and realized this waddling weirdo was the most attention anyone had paid me in months. But every time I cut toward my street, he swung in front of me and steered me the other way, like he was leading me somewhere. Then I heard it say, "Wait, wait!" He chased me into a random backyard, and I hit a tall fence with nowhere left to run. I shut my eyes and yanked the mask off, bracing for the worst. But when I saw who was underneath, my jaw dropped. Instead of a scary man, it was just a big kid, hugging the duck head to his chest. "Please don't run away. This is my backyard. I only want a friend to play with." Behind him, a board game.
Bro, what the freak? You do not just go around. Oh my god. Oh, I think I laughed. I think I have to end the stream now. Yeah. Okay, bye bye, guys.